Hello everybody, happy First Chapter Friday. I am so excited to introduce this book to you. It's going to be at our book fair that is going to be the very first week of February. And I read many books by this author before and now super pumped to show you this brand new mystery, and it's called The Inheritance Games. And it's by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. And there's the cover. Let's begin. I love what a hook this very short chapter presents. Chapter 1. When I was a kid, my mom constantly invented games. The quiet game, the who can make their cookie last longer game, and a perennial favorite, the Marshmallow Game, which involved eating marshmallows while wearing puffy Goodwill jackets indoors to avoid turning on the heat. The flashlight game was what we played when the electricity went out. We never walked anywhere, we raced. The floor was nearly always lava. The primary purpose of pillows was to build forts. Our longest-lasting game was called I Have a Secret, because my mom said that everyone should always have at least one. Some days she'd guess mine. Some days she didn't. We played every week, right up until I was 15, and one of her secrets landed her in the hospital. The next thing I knew, she was gone.
"Your move, princess,"
a gravelly voice dragged me back to the present.
"I don't have all day."
"I'm not a princess," I retorted, sliding one of my knights into place. "Your move, old man." Harry scowled at me. I didn't know how old he really was, and I had no idea how he had come to be homeless and living in the park where we played chess each morning. I did know he was a formidable opponent.
"You,"
he grumbled, eyeing the board,
"are a horrible person."
3 moves later, I had him. Checkmate. And you know what that means, Harry. He gave me a dirty look.
"I have to let you buy me breakfast."
Those were the terms of our long-standing bet. When I won, he couldn't turn down the free meal. To my credit, I only gloated a little. It's good to be queen. I made it to school on time, but barely. I had a habit of cutting things close. I walked the same tightrope with my grades. How little effort could I put in and still get an A? I wasn't lazy, I was just practical. Picking up an extra shift was worth trading a 98 for a 92. I was in the middle of drafting an English paper in Spanish class when I was called to the office. Girls like me were supposed to be invisible. We didn't exactly get summoned to have sit-downs with the principal. We made exactly as much trouble as we could afford to make, which in my case was none.
"Avery!"
Principal Altman's greeting was not what one would call warm.
"Have a seat."
I sat. He folded his hands on the desk between us.
"I assume you know why you're here."
Unless this was about the weekly poker game that I'd been running in the parking lot to finance Harry's breakfast, and sometimes my own, I had no idea what I'd done to draw the administration's attention. "Sorry," I said, trying to sound sufficiently meek, "but I don't." Principal Altman let me sit with my response for a moment, and then presented me with a stapled packet of paper.
"This is the physics test you took yesterday."
"Okay," I said. That wasn't the response he was looking for, but it was all that I had. For once, I actually studied. I couldn't imagine that I'd done badly enough to merit some intervention.
"Mr. Yates graded the tests, Avery. Yours was the only perfect score."
"Great," I said, in a deliberate effort to keep myself from saying, "Okay," again.
"Not great, young lady. Mr. Yates intentionally creates exams that challenge the abilities of his students. In 20 years, he's never given a perfect score. Do you see the problem?"
I couldn't quite bite back my instinct reply, which was,
A teacher who designs tests most of his students can't pass being the problem? Mr. Altman narrowed his eyes. You're a good student, Avery. Quite good, given your circumstances, but you don't exactly have a history of setting the curve. That was fair. So why did I feel like he gut-punched me? I'm not without sympathy for your situation, Principal Altman continued, but I need you to be straight with me here. He locked his eyes onto mine. Were you aware that Mr. Yates keeps copies of all of his exams on the cloud? He thought I cheated. He was sitting there staring me down, and I'd never felt less seen. I'd like to help you, Avery. You've done extremely well, given the hand life has dealt you, and I'd hate to see any plans you might have for the future derailed. Any plans I might have? I repeated. If I had a different last name, if I'd had a dad who was a dentist and a mom who stayed home, he wouldn't have acted like the future was something I might have thought about. I'm a junior, I gritted out. I'll graduate next year with at least 2 semesters worth of college credit. My test scores should put me in the scholarship contention of UConn, which has one of the top actuarial science programs in the country. Mr. Altman frowned. Actuarial science? Statistical risk assessment. It was the closest thing I could come to double majoring in poker and math. Besides, it was one of the most employable majors in the planet. Are you a fan of calculated risks, Ms. Grams? Like cheating? I couldn't let myself get any angrier. Instead, I pictured myself playing chess. I marked out the moves in my mind. Girls like me didn't get to explode. I didn't cheat, I said calmly. I studied. I'd scrape together time. In other classes, between shifts, later at night than I should have stayed up. Knowing that Mr. Yates was infamous for giving impossible tests had made me want to redefine possible. For once, instead of seeing how close I could cut it, I wanted to see how far I could go. And this was what I got for all my effort. Because girls like me didn't ace impossible exams. I'll take the test again, I said, trying not to sound furious or worse, wounded. I'll get the same grade again. What would you say if I told you that Mr. Yates had prepared a new exam? All new questions, every bit as difficult as the first. I didn't even hesitate. I'll take it. That can be arranged tomorrow during third period, but I have to warn you that this will go significantly better if now. Mr. Altman stared at me. Excuse me? Forget sounding meek. Forget being invisible. I want to take the new exam right here in your office right now. And that is chapter 1. So please check this out. It's going to involve this girl becoming the inheritor of a huge amount of money. However, there's a couple problems with that. She has to live with all the people who thought they were going to get all that money in the same house. And it's just going to wind up turning into a game, I can tell. And she seems like someone who's probably going to win. I haven't finished reading it, but I will today because I am so intrigued. I hope you are too. And I hope you have a great week. Enjoy your snow day, people. I know I'm going to. Take care.